lot of people who are in the process of quitting pornography are so hard on themselves. They think they're weak and that they have low impulse control and that they're not manly enough, strong enough. But the reason why people feel this way is because they misjudge the time it actually takes to quit pornography in a proper way. Is it 1 week or 1 year? Well, quitting pornography can take more time than we think. And how long it actually takes depends on a few factors. In this video, I will tell you what these factors are, and based on that, how long it can actually take for someone to quit for good. We will even get to know, for your special case, how long it could take for you to quit pornography if you set your mind to it. And before we talk about the different factors that influence how long it takes, I want to present how quitting pornography happens, how it unfolds. First, what does it mean to quit pornography? For most people, it means to not watch pornography and to want to not watch pornography ever again. So people focus on that very hard goal. And the reason why people start to do that is because at some stage they see in a very obvious way the damage that pornography has caused in their life. It's not everybody, but for some people, we'll see that in a second, pornography will be really damaging. So what really matters here is not so much the watching or not watching of pornography, although it is important, but it's to reduce the damage that pornography can have in one's life. This active phase of recovery, reducing the damage and moving away from pornography progressively, is called the detoxification phase. And when done properly, that's when people get the best results. And hear me out here, the way to do that is not by hard-knuckling your way through and going cold turkey, which means to just decide you're not going to watch pornography. That's not how you do it. And so people go through a good detoxification and they get better. Amazing. And so the urgency and the motivation to get better all the way through sometimes can drop. We're doing good, we'll lose the momentum, and we can get distracted easily. A situation that I call the ping pong phase. I'm watching pornography, I'm not. I've been doing good, is it really bad? I've been doing good, is it really so bad? I've done so well though, etc., etc. Which is why it's important to have a solid maintenance plan that is the second phase. And after that phase of maintenance, which is generally longer but less intense, it requires less effort than the detoxification phase, there is the long-term recovery, where you bring all your personal developments and you're building a new healthy life and you're thriving from there. So with this new picture in mind of what is actually involved when quitting pornography, you're probably starting to get a grasp that these things take time, okay? Quitting pornography takes time. But how much time exactly? Well, it will depend on 7 factors. The first factor is your intention and your mindset. I want to ask you right now on a scale of 0 to 10, how motivated are you to quit pornography? And results will only appear when your intention is sincere. So if you're less than an 8, it's probably not the right time to start quitting pornography. Now hear me out. Now there may be a lot of reasons why you're not at an 8, because you're fearing that you don't have the right techniques or education, or that you don't have it in you. All these things you can let them go. They're not part of the score. What's your inner motivation to quit pornography? And if it's an 8 or above, that's when the count starts. That's when you're truly motivated. That's when you're ready for a recovery, or that's when you're ready to quit pornography. Any less than that, it'll be pretty hard for you to prioritize the goal of quitting pornography so that it is actually successful. You'll have other priorities in your life. The second factor is your tendency for addictions. Now, some people have tendencies for addictions, some people don't. I know for a fact that I'm someone who's got very strong tendencies for addictions. If there's anything that feels good or that's enjoyable or fun, I'm going to do it all the way 100%, 600% into it until there's detriment to my health. So I've learned to be very cautious now, and when something feels good, I just enjoy it and then I leave it for the next month or the next 2 months. If you're someone who do not have addictive tendencies, you will know if you have addictive tendencies. For example, if you're suffering from multiple addictions. In my case, I was addicted to pornography and sex and sugar. So I know there was a bit of a theme over there. Also, addictions may run in your family, was certainly the case for me as well. So with all these factors, you can get a bit of a hint whether you're someone who dives into addictions very easily or if you're someone who doesn't really have that issue. And if you want to quit pornography and you don't have any addictive tendencies, it should be a pretty quick process for you because, well, it seems like it's just a bad habit and it's not really an addiction per se. So how long does it take for you to get rid of a bad habit? Maybe 1 month, maybe 2 months at worst. That's fine. How long does it take for you to quit biting your nails? Or how long does it take for you to stop saying, every 2 seconds, Probably a few months, probably a few weeks. That's it. So if you don't have any addictive tendencies, it should take you only a few weeks to quit pornography. Now, if you're someone with addictive tendencies, you're suffering from secondary addictions, you've previously recovered from another addiction, or that you're just someone who's got this addictive type of personality. And again here, please don't judge yourself like you were born this way. There is not much you can do other than observing yourself and refraining yourself whenever you can before the damage gets too much. But once you have that knowledge, at least you're in control. You know yourself better, and so you can take action in a better way. So having addictive tendencies is going to make you dive a lot deeper into pornography than if it were just a bad habit. Now, the third factor, and it's probably the main factor in how long it's going to take to quit pornography, is how long you've been watching pornography overall in a compulsive or in a regular way. Think about this. Each time you've been watching pornography, at best it has a neutral effect, which means it's not worsening. But most likely, every time you're watching pornography, you're reinforcing those patterns and your mind is more and more satisfied. And so you need to watch more pornography, and you need to watch more extreme pornography or more intense pornography or more niche pornography to be satisfied. This is a phenomenon that's known as tolerance. And so the more you're watching pornography, the more you're going to crave pornography, which is why addiction gets born in the first place. So how long you've been watching pornography in the past is one of the main factors that is going to tell you how long it's going to take for you to quit pornography. Another really important parameter, and this may not be obvious, is how many unaddressed traumas you are suffering from. Okay, so a trauma will be an intense negative episode in your life where you would have feared for your life, either as a child. It will be a peak negative experience, typically experienced with someone else, but it can be only with yourself. So any major emotional wound that you've gone through, any major trauma that you've gone through in your life is going to contribute to feeding an addiction in a huge way. And I'm not going to explain this in detail right now, but there is a direct link between trauma and the pornography that you're watching and how it re-enlivens this trauma in your mind. If you're curious about that, let me know in the comments below and I'll make a video about this. How many unaddressed traumas you're suffering from that are in the back of your mind and that have not been treated is a huge factor in feeding the addiction and knowing how long it's going to take for you to quit pornography. The fifth factor is very simple, and yet it is so undermined. It is your level of stress. Okay, if you're someone who's really stressed, you're going to seek pornography to relieve the stress. Pornography is like this little me time at the end of your day, at the beginning of your day, before going to bed, where you're going to find yourself again and let go of all the stress. So the higher your stress levels, the more you'll have a tendency to want to watch pornography. And so your level of stress is a critical factor in knowing how long it's going to take for you to quit pornography. The sixth factor is how good your life is overall. Now this may be surprising, but if you're feeling perfectly happy and balanced, you probably won't have any need for an addiction in your life. The role of the addiction again is to soothe the difficulties that you're going through in your daily life and just all the stress and the hurt that you're going through. So if you're a happy chap, you won't have a need for an addiction because there's nothing to compensate for. So how good your life is overall on your personal level, we're not measuring, how many mentions you've got and other metrics of success. Just how good you feel about your life is a very important parameter in how long it's going to take you to quit pornography. And last but not least, if you're suffering from a mental health condition, especially one that is affecting your cognition, it is going to make it a little bit harder, to maybe a lot harder, unfortunately, to quit pornography. So that would be either if you have a neurodiverse profile or if you're suffering from a diagnosed mental health condition. So it can be psychosis, for example, ADHD, if you're suffering from complex PTSD and all these sorts of conditions and profiles, then it will take you a bit more time to quit pornography simply because your cognition is different and you'll have to stabilize and juggle with what's happening in your mind at the same time as what's happening with pornography. Alright, so that's a lot of information right here. What we're learning from this is that it's going to take probably several months, more so than several days or weeks, to quit pornography in a proper way. This may come to a surprise, and this may be a little bit distressing as well, because you may be thinking that, wow, this is actually a huge process. But by knowing that it takes this amount of time, you can actually prepare yourself to deploy your plan for recovery in the best possible way, your plan for quitting pornography in the best possible way, and allow the process to happen. And now you understand that one of the reasons why you can't hard knuckle it and just brute force your way through is because it actually takes time. It's not sustainable to brute force your way through for months, possibly 1 or 2 years. That's why you need a plan, and that's why you need a process, and that's why you need to take the time it actually takes for your mind to rewire and for your life to stabilize in a happy way, in a healthy way for you. Now you may be curious, how long would it actually take for me to quit pornography? So based on the observation from my clients, I have made this formula to allow you to determine how long it would take you to quit pornography. Now this formula is by no means rocket science. It is not going to give you a number of days and hours, but it's just going to give you a bit of an idea, a bit of an estimate of what's a reasonable time that it would take you to actually quit pornography. The first number is going to be how many years you've been watching pornography. And you're going to turn this number of years into months. Okay, if you've been watching for pornography for 2 years, make it 2 months. If you've been watching pornography for 10 years, make it 10 months. If you've been watching pornography for 30 years, make it 30 months. So make a note of that number. Now, let us know in the comments below how many months is it for you that you would need to quit pornography in your current life conditions. And again, I invite you to not judge this number. It is just a number, and to just write it down. And what you can do as well is to observe your feelings, however. Please don't judge yourself, but observe your feelings. How do you feel with that number in your hand now? All right, and just to make sure that this is not confusing, we're going to do this exercise with 30-year-old Dimitri, myself here, when I was still addicted to pornography, and I was an 8 out of 10 into deciding to recover from pornography. And we're going to count what's the estimate that it would have taken me to quit pornography with the actual time that it's taken me. How many years had I watched pornography? That was 17 years. So my count starts at 17 months. Then how many unaddressed traumas did I have at the time? I was not aware that I was suffering from these traumas, but I had about 2 traumas that were really fitting the addiction that were completely unaddressed. Now after this, I'm adding what's the stress level that I was going through at the time. I was really broke. At the time I had a lot of money issues, so I'm going to make this a 7 out of 10. Then how good was my life at the time on a scale of 0 to 10? In spite of all the issues I had, I'm a pretty happy chap overall, so my life was pretty good. I was probably a 7. And then did I suffer from a mental health condition or neurodiversity? I have a bit of an ADHD giftedness thing going on. And did I suffer from mental health? And did I have a diagnosed mental health condition or any neurodiverse profile? I am and was at the time also, I have a bit of a neurodiversity thing going on where I suffer from a bit of ADHD and giftedness in schematic visual profile. So with all this information, for me at the time, it would have taken about 26 months, a bit more than 2 years, to quit pornography. Now, with all this, you may be wondering, am I addicted to pornography or not? I'm so glad you're asking yourself the meaningful questions. And so if you want an answer to that, you can take my pornography addiction test in the description below. That is probably a question you're asking yourself. With that formula, it would have taken me 26 months to quit pornography. How long did it actually take me to quit pornography? And so I invite you to watch this video right here that will answer that question for you.